Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Hoskins from beautiful Inman, South Carolina, just on the downhill side of Asheville going south towards, well, Columbia, Charleston, and the ocean. Interesting thing I want to talk about was had a great weekend of recharging with Julie, and that's why I didn't post much last week or earlier this week. I was had a great time just disappearing with her into the mountains. Riding the Blue Ridge Parkway on the motorcycle was a great time of reconnecting with her and reconnecting with God's creation. So thank you for that. Thank you for the opportunity to do that. Thank you for the resources to do that. Thank you for sharing in what I do so that I am able to do those recharging things. But in my recovery, I just, perusing YouTube to see what other creators are doing and seeing what is out there. And I've seen an explosion in the last 6 to 12 months of these reaction videos, especially since COVID hit. People are stuck at home and they're like, what can I do? What can I do? You know what? I'm going to check this out and make a reaction video to it. I've seen two young teenagers, 13, 14-year-old brothers, and they reacted to Phil Collins in the Air Tonight. Just watching another guy who's doing all kinds of reaction videos to stuff that I grew up with, stuff that I know very well. Dire Straits, Weird Al Yankovic. I mean, showing his reaction videos to discovering Weird Al Yankovic stuff, and just things like that. And it got me thinking, what do we take for granted that the next generation has not been exposed to yet? What are we operating on in our knowledge base, in our vernacular, in our context of speaking, in our vocabulary, in our just the way we think? What are we acting on, and what are we thinking about that the new generation has no clue? I remember growing up with 3 TV channels, sometimes only 2, depending on the weather. I remember growing up in the middle of the country that the lights went out. It was probably out for a day or two. I remember growing up where in the country where we had a 1-lane road. It was called a suicide road, and it was just a concrete patch to middle. It was just enough for one car to go by, because that was the usual traffic pattern, is one car at a time. It had wide shoulders that were dirt and gravel, and hopefully you didn't meet somebody when it was raining, because they got really, really slick. But what you do is when you're coming head on, you'd move over and keep 2 tires on the pavement as you pass, and you go like that. Hopefully it wasn't a semi, and oh, please don't let it be a school bus. But, I grew up in stuff like that. It's just part of stuff that I accepted as normal. But I realize today some of the newer generations have no clue where I'm coming from. And that has to impact the way I think about life itself, the way I think about my religion and my spiritual beliefs, the way that I think about chiropractic, the way I think about business, the way I think about all the stuff that I do. I have to stop taking for granted that whoever I'm speaking with has the same experiences and context. Now, think about that if we put it in the frame of reference of this social injustice whale that's going on, the divisiveness that certain people are driving into our political sphere, the chaos in our healthcare system, the double talk and the deception in other areas of our lives and our cultures today. Think about how all of that would mostly disappear. I mean, intentional deception and intentional evil we can't do much about. But think about what that miscommunication and how some of that misconception, how much of that would go away if we would stop assuming that your background and your knowledge base is the same as mine, and how dare you come up to a different conclusion than I, because obviously we have the same set of facts to deduct and deduce and to come to the same conclusion. So why don't you agree with me? We have to stop that. In healthcare, we have to stop that. We have to admit that no healing art has all the answers. And we should stop trying to be arrogant enough to think we do. In chiropractic, we come at health a totally different way than medicine and pharmacology. So why are you trying to make us fit into that context? We have a totally different philosophy. We have a totally different understanding of how the body works. Now, totally different of how it works. Not the physiology and anatomy. I mean, that's just the way it is. But how and why it works is a totally different approach. So why are you trying to fit us into that mold? Why are you trying to fit the way I think about my body into one mold? And both chiropractic and medicine have to fit into that mold. It's wrong thinking because we're coming from different contexts, we're coming from different experiences, and at some point that has to stop. We need to wake up and we need to realize we just need to explain ourselves. So I'm going to challenge you to go back and look at some of my older videos where I talk about chiropractic and what it is. I'm going to be more clear in stating my context for what I say so that if there are any new viewers or anybody that's not quite clear on what I've said before, or frankly just haven't taken the time to go look at what I've said before, that we can have a clear conversation and fewer conflicts so that you can truly understand what I'm trying to tell you. I've been doing chiropractic for 30 years. 32 years ago, I started school. 30 years ago, I started in the clinic. So I've been delivering chiropractic for 30 years now. And I have a different experience level than you. I have a different experience level than other chiropractors. And it's just the way it is. And I need to stop assuming that just because you have DC after your name or just because you're coming in to see me on a regular basis that you understand what I'm trying to tell you. It gets down to this. Well, when you look at the cascade of how things happen, there is a universal intelligence in this thing that we live in, this creation. Now, chiropractic doesn't try to tell us what theology is behind that. It just recognizes that there is something out there that created what is, and there's an organization to what is. There is a set of rules for what is. There is a set of guidelines and parameters that existence exists in. You can call it physics, you can call it chemistry and biology, you can call it whatever you want, math even. But there's a set of rules, and that predicates if there's a set of rules and there's order, there must be an intelligence behind it. I'm not going to take time to identify that in chiropractic. That's not chiropractic's realm. But if everything that exists has a universal intelligence, living things have to have an innate intelligence. And you can argue even an inanimate object has innate intelligence. There's something about a rock that keeps it a rock. But I'm going to be concerned mostly about the human frame. So if we go for universal intelligence, and a subset of that is the innate intelligence, that intelligence in me that keeps me me, and then fights for my survival in this existence that we're in. That innate intelligence has to express itself through something. And it does that through matter, through the body that we're created in. And it does that by transforming that intelligence, that subset of rules that keeps me me, into actions and responses through the nervous system. And the way that that intelligence is expressed is over and through the nervous system. Everything that happens to your body, everything that your body intends to do, everything that your body actually does is mitigated by that system. The information has to get back to intelligence, so intelligence can make the next decision. And then it's carried out over the nervous system to the different parts of the body. Interference happens in that transit between intelligence and the matter or the body. And that's where chiropractic comes in. We're on the outbound loop of this circle, this cycle called the simple normal cycle. The outbound loop. But there's interference. Nothing else in the loop really can go well. That's where chiropractic lives. Now, on the other end of transmission, if there's no interference, the cells receive the messages, it interprets and acts accordingly, and sends back messages, whether it's pain or, hey, everything's rosy, or if it's dysfunction or whatever, it's sending it back to the brain to be interpreted and acted upon. So chiropractic works on the outbound messages. All the other healthcare fields work on the inbound messages, trying to alter or adapt the end tissues so that the messages coming back aren't pain or dysfunction, that they're back to whatever normal is. So you see, we work on the same people, but we work from a totally different point of view. And that's why chiropractic is what it is. That's why we're separate and distinct. We work in a totally different arena than the other healthcare arts. We're the only ones that work on that interference between intelligence and reality, intelligence and actual expression of that intelligence. All the other healing arts work on either what the cells are doing, the target cells are doing, or on what they're sending back to the brain to be interpreted and acted upon. Um, no one's better, no one's worse. I don't have any argument with that either way, as long as we stay in our lane. But we need to stay in our lane. And that's why chiropractic does what it does. That's why we do what we do here at Pure Chiro Now. That's why the people I hang out in chiropractic do what we do. But I wanted to not leave you in the same situation of these teenagers that have never heard Phil Collins play before. As this man in his 20s didn't know who Dire Straits was, or didn't know who Van Halen was, or didn't know who Weird Al Yankovic. I don't want to leave you guys in the same situation of not knowing, having to do a discovery video or a reaction video when you actually find out something I should have been telling you all along. And I think if you go back and look at my videos, I have told you all along, just not as simply and plainly and clearly as I have just now. So, chiropractic has to be part of everybody's arsenal. A chiropractor has to be part of everybody's team if you want that full cycle of life, that full cycle of expression and experience of life itself to be full and robust and healthy and adaptable and vibrant. You have to have chiropractic as part of the mix. You have to have a chiropractor on your team. If you're in the upstate, you have no reason not to come see me. If you don't want to come see me for whatever reason, don't want to see Sam for some reason, I can't figure out what that would be. We got plenty of friends around here. You need to have chiropractic on your team. 85% of you, 85% of the people you know don't even go to a chiropractor. There's plenty of people to go around. I don't need to take you from another chiropractor. And if you don't live in this area, it's not convenient for you to get here. If you don't have an airplane to fly into GSP and drive over, let me know. I'll find somebody close to you so you don't have to rent an airplane and come see me. But if that's your only answer, then by golly, it's important enough. Get on an airplane, come to Spartanburg. GSP is the airport code. Come and see me. Let's get you taken care of so that we get you on the right track. Because chiropractic is that important to that full cycle of expression and experience of life. Anyway, I've talked a lot. Gosh, it seems like 15 minutes, but it's only been 12. So have a good day. Look forward to talking to you soon. I really do appreciate any of the feedback you give me. But, get a chiropractor on your team and listen to what they tell you with the context of what I just shared with you. Love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.